Hello everyone, and welcome back to Star Trek Osiris, a Starbase centric game using the second edition rules by Modiphius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are three lovely individuals who will meet right away. Starting with Professor Hex. Hex, who you playing? Anything you want to shout out?
Hello, I am Professor X. I am playing the commander of Osiris Station, the Vinchari man Vokobe Ka. And I would like to, I guess what would be the opposite of shout out, but in a negative way? Denigrate? I would like to denigrate mis and disinformation.
Fair enough. Yeah. I have no witty retort for that. I fully agree. Good job.
This is in no way relevant to our current social and political sphere.
No, not at all. Not at all. Also, because I totally told the players before the session that today there will be no mysterious ships. It will not be a mysterious anomaly hitting the station, and Perfect Sex immediately went bullshit. So
Yeah, disinformation designed to sow chaos and undermine our democracy of our three players.
Oh Lord. MGX, what do you got going on, buddy?
Hey folks, MGX playing Lieutenant Junior Grade Talix. I want to give a shout out to the game No Man's Sky that I have been spending my entire weekend playing, getting back into it, and it is so much fun.
Cool. And last but not least, Umbral, what do you got going on?
Hi everybody, y'all know me. I am playing Ensign Kiata Evans. I'm the local Greenhorn operations officer on the ship, and I'd like to give a shout out to the fact that I have finally achieved the rank of captain on Star Trek Online this morning, and I'm feeling very happy.
Yeah, good job. Good job. All right, well, let's run that intro and then we'll get started. And welcome back. And as always, thank you, Techno, for that lovely intro, which if you're on YouTube, you got to go to the earlier video in the playlist to watch because copyright laws are bullshit. But
This is true.
As promised, we are not going to start with mysterious ships coming to the station. There are no mysterious ships arriving from any direction. In fact, at the moment, there are no ships docked at Osiris Station. None. Zip. Nada. And right now, I'd like to set the scene that Vokobe Ka, Talix, and Evans, the three of you are currently playing host to a Riemann ambassador. Now, the Riemann ambassador is just sort of here as a sort of stopgap. Their original ship was delayed, and therefore they're kind of stuck on the station for a week. But to sort of set the scene, you all are in Astrape's bar, entertaining the ambassador. And the ambassador's name is, I'll put it in chat, it is Sven, or if you want to say Sven, whichever you prefer. I go with Sven, because I feel like the I should be silent. But Sven, he's looking at various implements in the bar. He's looking at the drinks and the food, and he just kind of looks at you all and goes, well, I can't say I've really had a chance to sample such food. This is really the second time I've ever been off of my homeworld. Would you all recommend anything in particular?
Well, sort of, you'd like to blend in to our cohort here at Osiris Station. I would recommend following along with the wee ones and drinking a bit of Rectigino. Probably about 4.5 gallons at once will do you.
And I think, the ambassador just blinks a few times and says, I can't tell if you're being serious or if it's a joke.
Evans slowly kind of shields his cup of Rectigino, feeling suddenly very self-conscious.
Well, that's the thing, sir, you'll never know exactly where I land. And that's how I like to keep it. It's my superpower.
I see. Well, Commander, I must say I'm actually quite glad that I was able to have a bit of a layover here. You have had a very interesting command compared to what was the service record of this station prior.
Well, interesting is certainly one word for it. Lively, panicked, insane in terms of frequency and demographics, certainly. It's been educational, to say the least, and I'd like to think that none of it is my fault by coming here. It's not as if I brought trouble with me on the wagon train.
And I think he does catch that joke, and he laughs jovially and goes, "All right, well, you said I needed a Ractigino, so let's start with that. Bartender, Ractigino, whatever the hell that is." And Estrape nods and goes to replicate some Ractigino. But at this point, as Sven is waiting on his food and drink, he turns to you, Talix, and says, "Now, Lieutenant Junior Grade Talix, was it?"
Why, yes, indeed, sir.
Well, I understand that you are a bit of a buff when it comes to all things biological. Is that correct?
Why, yes, that has very much been my background and academic training.
Then what would you say if I were to tell you that I had it on good authority that there may or may not be a plague that is slowly creeping its way across the Alpha Quadrant?
I would be thoroughly intrigued, but I don't know that I've heard of any such plague. Can you share a little bit more about what that might be?
Well, and he leans in conspiratorially, so you all lean in as well. You didn't hear this from me, but I have friends in the diplomatic corps that say that they have dealt with a flurry of instances. And what I mean by that is one moment, every negotiation will be going fine. The next, the diplomats and the attendees are thrown into fits of rage and fits of strange behavior, almost as if they're drunk out of nowhere. And there's no rhyme or reason. The investigations that have taken place reveal that there's no stellar phenomena, there's no, like core biological set, or there's not like a rogue Vulcan or anything like that. But I just know it. I know that something is causing this because it's creeping across the Alpha Quadrant. And what I mean by that is it started at Earth and just has been slowly migrating through reports all the way out here to Osiris Station.
Do you by chance know where the most recent occurrence of this happened?
Well, yes. Compared to here, the closest instance would have been DS9. Now, for anybody who wants to know where, Osiris Station is in relation to DS9, you are on the complete opposite side of Cardassian space from where they are.
Deep Space Nine, well, that's not exactly close to where we are. I'm wondering then, have you spent any time looking into this, or is this just something that you've heard through the grapevine?
Well, it's a very diplomatic grapevine. Us ambassadors are a very tight-knit crew.
I'm wondering if this is something that we need to be elevating. You mentioned that it's coming through the diplomatic grapevine, but do you think that it's been raised up to any higher levels of power?
I wouldn't know. I haven't heard of any presidents or any key political figures other than the diplomats succumbing to this, but I suppose it's possible.
Well, this may be something that we want to take precaution towards on our station, just in case anyone comes through that may have been exposed, perhaps, to this particular plague.
All right. So I have 6 threat. I'm going to spend 2 of it to say that a human waiter comes by to deliver the diplomat's drink. Sven smiles, thanks the waiter, and takes a sip of his Ractigino. And then all of a sudden, his eyes get very wide, his pupils dilate, his hands begin to tremble, and Vakobe Ka, you are, well, you know what, I'll make a roll. We'll just do 1d3. Evans, you are our lucky winner. Evans, you're just sort of sitting there minding your own business, just sort of a part of the conversation, when all of a sudden the Reman Ambassador turns to you, grabs you by the collar of your uniform, and goes, "Where is it? You must tell me where it is!" And he just starts shouting nonsense at you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and like break free of his grip, trying to push him away from me.
Okay. Now, to be clear, are you merely breaking the grip, or are you actually attempting to subdue him? Because that's very different roles involved.
No, because right now I'm just trying to get him away from me.
Okay. In that case, it is a daring and security at a difficulty of 2.
Daring and security at a difficulty of 2. Perform task. Okay. And then let's see here. Do I have anything? No, I don't. Okay. Let's do it.
I can offer you success with a complication.
Sure, just get this man off me.
All right. So you throw the guy off you. He ends up falling back over his chair onto his back, and in the process, as his legs kick up, and this is the complication, your entire table goes flying, and Vokobe Ka and Talix, you are splashed by your own drinks. And at this point, everybody in Astrape's bar is like, "What the hell is going on over there?" And
Oh no,
I'm gonna-
I'm deathly allergic to Rectigino.
I'm gonna tap my comm badge. Ensign Evans to security. Move to. What's the bar called again? What's the bar called again?
Well, as you fumble in character, because I think that's funny, as you fumble for Astrape's bar in character, it's literally just Astrape's.
Astrape's
It's literally just Astrape's.
Security just Estrapes.
At this point, the Reman Ambassador, he gets up to his feet, and if this were the TOS era, we'd have the dun dun dun, TOS fight music. But
Yes.
Sven is going to still be bug-eyed, sort of twitching a little bit. There's a little bit of foam coming out of his mouth at this point, and he's just looking at everybody like a wild animal, like a cornered wild animal at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand back up and kind of. Okay, Ambassador, let's breathe for a second here. All right, just stay right where you are.
Is it conceivable that any of us would be wearing our phasers by chance?
I mean, that's
I would
a
have assumed
call.
probably not.
I was gonna say that's a call. I'd have to say either it's like DS9 where there's no weapons allowed on the promenade and there's actual security features to that, or you just have the standing declaration that you always carry a phaser. It's just something I'd have to note.
I feel like that'd probably be up to the commander's discretion on since it's his command.
Yes. This place doesn't strike me as particularly like a wild western in its outpostiness. So I think we would probably just have an understanding that weapons are not allowed in the civilian areas of the ship. So that would sorry, the station, and that would apply to us too. So yeah, okay. Well, curses. I think Vokobe Ka would reflexively, given what happened, in this part of the station last time, he would probably take a chair and start wielding it.
Okay, now to be clear, are you using the chair to keep the ambassador from attacking anyone else, or are you actively trying to knock him out with the chair?
I'm not trying to hurt him exactly. I'm just trying to corral him, to force him back and to push him away from hurting, anybody else, especially us.
Okay. Vokobe Ka,
am definitely
that is definitely a daring security.
Yeah.
And because it's funny, damage control is a focus.
Makes sense to me. Okay, we don't have any momentum. Just got 2 dice. Okay, here we go.
Well, you get a momentum. Well done. So yeah, Vokobe Ka with your chair. I like to imagine it's like corralling a lion or like
yes,
a tiger.
exactly.
Yeah. So you're like, back, foul beast, back you go. And,
Well, I wouldn't say foul beast. I'm not so undiplomatic as that, but I would. All right, back up. Don't hurt us. Don't hurt yourself.
And hey,
I'm gonna try and position myself between the ambassador and any civilians, so that if he does go for them, I'm right there.
Okay. And hey, you just got a momentum from chats. You're up to 2. So,
Hey.
given your success, you are able to contain, such as it is, contain the ambassador until station security arrive. Station security very quickly get a hold of Sven. Sven is, of course, still foaming at the mouth, blabbering nonsense, but they take him away, and, the patrons of the bar slowly get back to their own tables and their own events. But Astrape comes over to you three and goes, "What happened?" And you can see that she's holding a drink, and she says, "What happened? One moment, nothing was going on, and the next, I have a bar fight on my hand. What happened?"
Ensign Evans kind of like sits back down at the bar and starts like catching his breath and like, I don't know. I was just enjoying my drink, and then he grabbed me and he started screaming about, where is it? Where is it? I don't know. God. Did I do something to offend him, do you think?
It seems doubtful, Ensign. As far as I could tell, that was a completely unprompted reaction. And if my sense of dramatic irony is working, then I would say that resembled, at the very least, the very plague that he was describing and telling to the Lieutenant Talax.
Oh God, you don't think I'm infected with it if he had it?
Did he touch you in any way on your skin? Did he spit at you?
He was kind of yelling in my face, so I don't know, but he grabbed me by my uniform, so maybe I should report to sickbay for decon just in case.
Absolutely, Ensign. That would be my first priority. Head to sickbay, and what we need to do, and the commander would turn to Astrape and say, "I'm sorry, lass, but I'm afraid we're going to have to quarantine this bar area until further notice, just in case this plague has become virulent within your establishment."
No,
I would actually recommend quarantining the whole station.
That's actually what I was about to suggest, Commander, that if it's affecting my bar, then we've had enough foot traffic in here for it to have spread to the entire station at this point.
You can see... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You can see the commander's kind of brow furrows a little bit, as if he's not exactly eager to shut the whole station down, because that starts to affect like logistics and so on. But he eventually assents and says, "Aye, that would probably be the wise course of action. Very well. Let the security personnel know and the medical staff know that Osiris Station, until further notice, is quarantined."
All right, now red alert doesn't sound, but I imagine something similar to blue alert on a starship, where a new sort of color takes the corridors and everybody knows that we're now under quarantine procedures. But
Green alert?
Astrape, still looks over the three of you, and especially at Talix, and says, Now, Talix, Lieutenant Talix, I mean, did you see any signs? I'm just curious, because if it's a problem with my replicator, then we have a very big problem on our hand. But if it's like he just acted out of nowhere, like she's fishing for information about how this entire event started.
Alex sort of takes a moment because internally he is skeptical of the whole situation and wants to share that with the commander, but doesn't necessarily know that we should share that with Astrape. So he says something to the effect of, "Well, Astrape, when we're dealing with any type of biological or psychological situation, there's obviously a great deal of investigation that needs to occur. And I think that we should probably start digging in on a couple of items. Commander, if you don't mind, why don't we go ahead and have a conversation with some of our other team members in Ops so we can get to the bottom of what just happened?"
Very well. He'll touch his comm badge and he'll say, "Attention, Osiris Station senior staff. Meeting in ops in 10 minutes. Priority alert. 10 minutes. Meeting for all senior staff."
All right.
All right. So we jump cut ahead 10 minutes to everybody arriving in ops. It is all hands on deck as requested. If we need to have a named NPC on the spot, I will certainly generate one. But for sake of argument, you have full beta shift, full alpha shift, full gamma shift, and delta shift here. All the shifts are accounted for. And I would say that ops is actually pretty packed with this many people. I would say it's pretty much standing room only, except for the space around the central table, which is where Vokobe Ka, Talix, and Evans currently are sort of leading the meeting from.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary personnel, and those who do not identify with the gender. We have just entered a crisis point. We have reasonable evidence to contribute to the idea that we have been infected here by some sort of virulent plague that, according to the Riemann gentleman on board, was first spotted in the Alpha Quadrant on Earth. Now, it's very important that the next few hours run smoothly and according to the strictest understanding of medical and safety protocol as we can muster. I need round-the-clock data collection, data analysis, and the safe administration of all of the technical and personnel functions aboard this station. We cannot let any single iota of this medical issue escape our watch or our neutralization. Is that clear to everyone?
And you get a resounding yes, sir.
Now then, I would like to pass speaking authority here at this meeting over to our Lieutenant Talix, who is our biological specialist. I'm, of course, as many of you know, merely a field surgeon in terms of my medical qualifications, and Talix, in this instance, is your superior. Heed their wisdom, heed their expertise, and their word is law. Lieutenant, if you would, please.
Above table for just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Timeline-wise, are we post-Nemesis and pre-destruction of Romulus and Remus?
You are post-destruction of Hobus, so yes.
Okay. Cool. Commander, there's several interesting things that I think we need to look into, and while I agree with ensuring that we maintain the highest of safety protocols over the next few hours and days, depending on the situation, I do think it's important that we look at a couple of factors that are unique in this case. Number one, this is the first that any of us have heard of this particular, shall we call it, phenomenon. I don't know that any of us has heard of this type of disease or pathogen or psychological outburst occurring here. Second, I want to make sure that we spend some time focusing on the individual at hand here. I don't personally know this ambassador, and I don't know that any of us do, but as of right now, the only person who has shared any information with us about this plague is the individual who appears to have been affected by this. So I do think it's important that we spend some time studying the subject. I also think it's important that we engage in some protocols at Astrape's bar to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the food or beverages being served there. At the same time, I think it'll be important for our security Chief to potentially look into the waiter and wait staff at the bar to make sure that they don't have any particular bias against this one individual. It could be that something may have happened to the Riemann ambassador that just so happens to be a coincidence around what he was sharing. So I do think that while we may have a larger problem on our hands, it'll be important for us to investigate these various eccentricities, shall we say, about this case. So if I were to make steps forward, I would want to make sure, Commander, that we reach out to Starfleet Command to learn more if they know anything about this and if the rumors around this plague are valid, that we do some study at the bar and of the Riemann individual himself, and then finally, as mentioned, check with the staff who served the ambassador to make sure that this was not an isolated incident or perhaps an attack on him.
Very well put, Lieutenant. It is
Am
how
I
I'm
present right
envisioning.
DM?
Sorry, say again?
I'm trying to remember if I'm present right now, because he said the meeting's in 10 minutes. Would I have been out of sickbay by now, or am I probably still there?
Yeah, you would have gotten a quick once-over in sickbay, so yeah, you're here.
Gotcha. Evans kind of speaks up and, well, another recommendation I can make that might speed up the process of trying to identify this pathogen or whatever it is. If we've had anybody beam on board the station as of late, we could look over the transporter's biofilters, see if it picked up anything while in transit. We might be able to identify whatever it is we're looking at. It might help with the lieutenant's work.
Indeed,
Very well.
that is a great recommendation.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Ensign. Here is how I'm envisioning our approach to this problem. I, myself, will head to my office and send a priority message to Starfleet Command, advising them of the situation and requesting further information, classified or otherwise. Lieutenant, you will assemble a team of the finest scientific and medical personnel we have aboard the station and investigate the various possible vectors for this. As you say, we should hesitate to call it a plague or an infection. It may very well be a psychological or temporary phenomenon. But you will investigate the nature of the disruption itself. Ensign, I'd like you to coordinate with our security complement and examine Astrape's bar for any possible sabotage or conspiratorial elements, as well as conducting the examination of our Riemann ambassador. Question him and try to extract information as to this potential danger. Chief Yen, if you would please, head to Astrape's bar and examine the food and beverage dispensers and various vectors for, let's say, biological contact, and ensure that we are not accidentally or inadvertently infecting ourselves with a possible plague.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that clear?
I'll get right on it.
Very well. Right. For the rest of you, you will have your duty charges sent to your personal pads within 15 minutes. Everyone, work with alacrity, focus, and intelligence. Dismissed.
All right. So, where do we want to start this? Why don't we start this with Talix, if I understood her correctly. Talix, you're taking the lead on studying the ambassador. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, I believe so. Though I could also be joining Chief Yen, as I think I've been charged with, figuring out all possible vectors for a pathogen. So,
okay, right. If there was an interrogation or examination of the actual ambassador themselves, I was charging Evans and the security personnel with doing that.
Okay, that's where I got confused. Got
Okay,
it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right. So in that case, let us handle the examination of Astrape's bar first, and then we'll go to Evans and the examination of the ambassador. So, Chifian and Talix, you head down to Astrape's bar. The mood in Astrape's bar isn't exactly great because even though there's a quarantine, people got to eat. So, the mood is very dour, very unpleasant. But where would you like to begin? I mean, Chief Yin is already beelining for the replicator, but is there anything you want to check out in particular?
Is the scene of like the table and the drinks that we had been served, is all of that still um, as we left it
Yes,
in disarray?
Astrape specifically made it a point to have nobody touch or mess with the items as they were.
Perfect. Um, Chief, while you investigate the replicator, I'm going to go ahead and run a few scans on our scene of the incident to see if there is anything in the liquids that remain present, or perhaps some sort of airborne toxin or pathogen or anomaly that may be present.
All right, I'll be over here if you need me.
So Talix will go ahead and pull out his tricorder and scan the area to see if anything pops up.
All right, why don't you give me a reason and medicine at a difficulty of 3? And yes, you have a focus.
Okay.
All right. So that is 2 successes. I can offer you a success with a complication.
Sure, let's do a success with a complication.
All right. So I'm going to take 2 threat for the complication. And what you'll find is that you're not detecting any airborne pathogens. You're not detecting anything truly out of the ordinary, except for the fact that the ambassador's drink is of a different replicator pattern than usual. And I think Chief Yin comes over at the same time and goes, well, good news, bad news, sir. The replicator's working fine. As far as I can tell, there's not really anything wrong with it, but... And she looks at the cup, as you both look at the cup that the ambassador, was given. I'm probably about 90% sure that that cup was not made in that replicator.
Why don't we go and speak with Astrape to see if there's any other, perhaps secondary replicator that she may have for, shall we say, other specialized drinks? Perhaps items that might not be as above board here on the station?
And Astrape, who's been nearby this entire time, says, Lieutenant, I object. I am not a purveyor of illegal goods. I have no secondary replicator to that effect.
So, Astrape, you have no secondary replicator at all, even one that may be producing legal goods?
No, I have the single replicator for the bar, and then the nearest replicator from us would have been the Replimat.
Then I think we might need to check that replicator. However, I do want to ask Astrape, we noticed that there was a human male server who delivered this particular drink. I don't know that I've seen him in here before. Can you identify who that individual is and let us know if he's still around?
Human waiter? I don't employ any human waiters.
Well, that is a very interesting piece of information, Astrape. I think we may be done here for the moment. We will be back if we need anything else. And Talix motions for Chief Yen to walk with him away from the space. Again, he's very skeptical of Astrape and her establishment. And pings his comm badge. Commander, Lieutenant Talix.
This is the commander. Report.
Commander, I wanted to note that we found that the cup that the Riemann ambassador was drinking out of was not of the same replicator that Astrape has in the bar. And additionally, do you recall the waiter that delivered that drink? He was indeed a human male, right?
Makobeka kind of thinks for a moment. He does remember that, but is there any way to like make a sort of check of his own mind to determine whether or not that's accurate?
Yeah, why don't you give me a insight and command? And I think cold reading would apply as a focus, a difficulty of 3.
Difficulty of 3. Okay. I won't waste momentum on a memory check, so we'll just see what happens.
Okay. Well, you get your 3 all the same. Very well. So, Vakobeka, you're looking in the big old noggin there, and you're thinking back, and 2 things about the server stick out to you. The first is that his eyes were very dark, where the pupils were not very colorful, they were just very dark. The second thing is that as the cup was being put down in front of the ambassador, there was a very brief moment where the server's hand came very close to the ambassador. Didn't touch, but came very close to the ambassador.
Okay, so a human male, hand hovering near the Riemann ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other piece of information?
Well, I'm looking at my notes, and I'll just to be fair, I'll tell you. So you're thinking about the eyes, the dark eyes.
Oh yes, the black or the darkish.
Yeah, the dark pupils. You're 75% sure that is no human. That's a betazoid.
Ah.
Because one of the defining features of betazoids, small bit of canon lore here. One of the small factors about betazoids is that they are supposed to have dark eyes.
Right. Okay. So having checked his mental notebook there, he'll respond to the lieutenant and say, then that leads me to believe, Lieutenant, that we have possibly not a human male conspirator, but a betazoid provocateur.
I wonder then if we return to speak with Astrape, if we clarified that this was a betazoid and not a human male, that we could get to the bottom of who this is. I do think it's important for us to consider that if there was a betazoid there, that there could be some sort of mental or psychological element to what happened to the ambassador. But I suppose we will have to identify who this individual is first to find out.
Yes, very well, Lieutenant. If you will continue your questioning of Astrape, I, in the meantime, will order a security bulletin, the lookout for a human or possibly betazoid figure, possibly still wearing a server's uniform. They are to be found and brought under security to my quarters immediately.
Indeed, sir. Talix out.
Let's check in on Evans and the ambassador. So, Evans, you are in sickbay with security at this point. The ambassador has been sedated, so they're no longer like flailing around, foaming at the mouth, etc.
Yeah.
They have been sedated, And I guess my first question is, what is it you might be looking for in terms of the ambassador? Are you just looking for a general sort of medical profile? Are you looking for, some pathogen? Like, what is the process here?
So I stand over the ambassador and I go, okay. I assume the doctors have already run some scans on him.
Yeah, in fact, the doctor, who, if he needs a name, I'll give him a name, but the doctor just says, well, Ensign, I don't know what to tell you as far as I can tell. Ambassador Sven here is not exactly the perfect image of a Riemann, but he's pretty darn close. I mean, his vitals are good, his blood chemistry's fine. I have no real reason why he should have been freaking out or foaming at the mouth. The only thing that maybe could have been common to that was Terran rabies, but there was no sign of Terran rabies anywhere in his system, so I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Would you mind pulling up those medical scans you did on the ambassador and putting them up on the main situation screen here?
Oh, of course, yes, and he swipes a pad, and from the pad, it's now displayed above the bio bed where the ambassador is.
Okay. Computer. Did the ambassador at any point transport onto the station, or were they flown onto the station?
The computer thinks for a moment and says the ambassador arrived on, and it gives you a standard freighter ship, approximately 4 days ago.
Okay. Do you... Has there been any major transport activity within the past, say, 5 days?
Now, when you say transport activity, do you mean like ships or do you mean like transporters?
With transporters.
Okay. And the computer's going to turn and says, please clarify, there are approximately 100 events that may qualify.
Has anyone beamed onto the station within the past 5 days?
No external transports have occurred since the transport left.
Call up all information we have on that freighter.
And I guess I got to give the freighter a name here. Let me see. Let's call it the SS Weatherton. So the SS Weatherton is displayed. It is a very old but very venerated transport, if such a thing exists in the Star Trek universe. It is a very old Antares class, which is actually, it's there on, if you look at our Foundry screen, the little ship over here is an Antares class. So kind of just a flat plank with a sort of fin which carries like 3 to 4 cargo containers underneath of it.
Is it possible... Is this vessel still within communications range?
It is.
I'm going to look back at the doctor. It is possible that whatever was on that transport may have been carrying the pathogen. We might have a plague ship on our hands. I'm going to see what I can do if I can try to contact them. In the meantime here, what I want you to do is I want you to cross-reference all of the data that you've gotten off of the scans, off of the ambassador, and it is a long shot, but I'm willing to bet that if there has been any use of the transporters at all within the past couple of days, try to find something that might match in the biofilters. I'm going to try and contact that ship, and I'm going to let the commander know what's going on.
All right, I'll do what I can, Ensign. Now, Evans, where are you going to be calling the transport vessel from?
Ops.
Ops, okay. So we'll cut to Ops then. Evans, you arrive, and Vokobeka, I assume you're still in Ops yourself, and we'll let that scene play out from there.
Well, no, I wouldn't be in Ops because I had gone to my office to message Starfleet Command.
Okay, so let's play that out then, because your office is off of Ops, so we'll you're close by, but let's play out that scene first.
Yeah.
So Vokobeka, you're in your office, you bring up Starfleet Command. On screen is, Admiral Thompson, and Admiral Thompson is just kind of sighing and says, so let's go over this again, Vokobeka. You're telling me that unprovoked, unknowable, the ambassador lashed out and attacked one of your staff. Is that correct?
That's correct. There was foaming at the mouth. There was a certain bloodshot nature of the eyes. There was immediate hostility and aggression. The Riemann ambassador questioned, "Where is it? I must know where it is," seemingly fixated on finding something, and physically threatened Ensign Evans in the process.
And Thompson just sort of takes off his glasses and rubs at his temple and goes, "I was afraid of that. What I tell you does not leave this comm channel, but this similar sort of event has occurred across almost every Riemann ambassador and every Riemann attaché that we have had in the Federation. I do believe that something is targeting the Riemanns, whether it's a plague, a person, or something else, but this is no longer a coincidence. This is a pattern at this point."
Are you telling me, Admiral, that this condition or this phenomenon only affects Riemanns?
And he puts his glasses back on, picks up a pad, and goes, "Well, we also did note that some of the attaché from former Romulus were also affected by this. I don't know what to call it at this point. We don't really have a name for it. Let's call it pathogen R for sake of argument. This pathogen R has affected Romulans. It has affected Riemanns, but it has not affected Vulcan ambassadors, Andorian ambassadors, anything like that."
I see.
Tolan.
Well, Admiral, we are doing our best to investigate all possible avenues of entry and effect this pathogen might have. We're looking at the medical, the biological, the genetic, the psychological. And we have reason to believe, not a strong suspicion, but suspicion enough, that Ambassador Sven may have been deliberately targeted by a provocateur aboard the station, a possibly betazoid individual who was posing as a waiter in the bar in which this took place.
Well, sounds to me like you need to find yourself a betazoid.
Yes, and quickly. Now, Admiral, if there isn't anything further that Starfleet Commander is requesting of us, or you yourself, I must make my way back to Ops and continue to coordinate with my team.
The only further thing I have for you, Commander, is that I want to make sure the ambassador does recover. The diplomatic situation with the Romulans and the Riemanns has always been a little bit of touch and go since Hobus went up, but this is now the third incident of something like this occurring, and it's happening under our watch. We do not want people to think that we are the cause of it, if you get my meaning.
Yes, of course, sir. I will handle this with diplomatic tact.
Very good. Starfleet Command out.
And he will shut off his, terminal, and then he will sigh himself and kind of rub the bridge of his nose in distress and frustration and contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll make his way onto Ops.
Okay. And that's probably where Evans walks into you, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Oh, Commander. Hi. I'm gonna guess you just got off the horn?
That's correct. I spoke with the Admiral. They have confirmed the phenomenon's severity and have asked us to work quickly and to do so with a certain amount of diplomatic tact. That is all I'm at liberty to share with you.
This is a need-to-know basis kind of thing, then?
Yes, I'm afraid so, Ensign, and you unfortunately do not need to know.
I understand, sir. I would like permission to get into contact with the vessel that brought the ambassador here in the first place. If there is a possibility that this vessel may be carrying something holding the plague, I'm worried it may be a plague ship of some kind, and if it's not a thing, it's a person, and I would like to direct it to return to the station, and if it does not comply, I would like to have a vessel dispatched to officiate its return. But I would like to contact them first to give them the opportunity to return.
Ensign, I'm willing to allow this line of investigation, but I must ask that you instead employ a little bit of subterfuge. If you will, pose your questions as if they are coming from a line of public safety, given that we have possibly a provocateur or conspirator aboard the Osiris Station, and we'd like to examine the ship from a forensic capacity and not a medical one. There's no need to scare the crew or the passengers of the ship unduly with talk of a pathogen or otherwise a medical phenomenon.
I'm sorry, sir, did you say provocateur? As in, someone is doing this on purpose?
It is possible. I and others are actively investigating this and to determine its veracity.
Well, I'll contact the ship, and I'll also see if I can work with Tolan, see if he knows anything. But I'll keep you updated.
Very well, Ensign. Good luck.
Aye, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So you take a seat in ops. You open up a channel to the SS Weatherton. Very jovial Jamaican man says, "Yeah, man, what can I be doing for you?" I don't know what that accent is. I apologize to every Jamaican everywhere.
How dare you?
SS Weatherman, this is the Starbase Osiris calling you for a bit of an inquiry. My name is Ensign Kiata Evans with Starfleet. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite fine. What is it you need from us?
We're looking into a matter of public safety regarding the station and its surrounding space. We were wondering if you could answer a couple of questions for me.
Of course. What do you need?
It's my understanding that you recently transported a Riemann ambassador, is that correct?
Yes, Ambassador Sven. He had my quarters because the captain's quarters were the only thing that could fit an ambassador of that stature.
Of course. During your journey with the ambassador, did the ambassador interact with any of your crew directly?
Myself, some of my underlings. Is there anyone in particular that you're concerned about?
Do you believe that it would be possible for you to send over a copy of your crew manifest and highlight which members of the crew may have been in contact with the ambassador?
I can send that over shortly, yes. Just give me a moment here. And you see that he's like typing, because it's an old vessel, so it's like TOS era computers. So
Yeah.
he's having to some like manually, push buttons and all that. And he says, "All right,
Yeah.
you should be getting that transmission now. I don't know if any of it is helpful, but please do let me know."
I appreciate your cooperation so far, Mr.
Oh, my name is Bob.
Mr. Bob, of course. And Mr. Bob, during your transport of the ambassador, where did you pick them up from?
They were coming from DS9.
Deep Space Nine. Okay, I think that about answers the majority of my questions. Was this job to transport the ambassador come to you personally requesting this transport, or was this arranged by some higher echelon?
As far as I'm aware, he just sort of arranged transport. I didn't think too much of it, but I can look at my records and get back to you.
I would be very much pleased if you could direct me any information that you had on this job as soon as possible. For now, though, that answers all of my questions, Mr. Bob. Starfleet thanks you for your cooperation.
Of course, and just let us know if you need anything more.
Of course. Osiris out. I'm gonna close the channel.
So,
And-
Evans, you
Yeah.
are going to assumedly take a look at the data that was sent over.
Yep.
That is going to be an insight and security at difficulty 4.
Okay.
And remember, you've got 2 momentum to use if you so need it.
Which I believe it's 1 momentum per dice, right? Am I
It's 1
correct?
momentum for the 3rd die, and then it is 3 meta currency total for the 4th die.
Gotcha. So let me increase to 3 dice, and then I'm going to, since I am currently looking over data to make verifications and stuff like that, I'm going to use my value, say this is my value, verify always, act next. And as for focuses,
Don't know that you have focuses here, unfortunately.
I don't think I do, no.
So you're rolling 3 dice. Make sure you check using determination value, and let's see what happens. I can offer you a success with a complication.
I will take it.
All right. So you're looking over the manifest, and as far as you can tell, none of the crew are Betazoid or human. In fact, well, I take that back because he is Jamaican. Most of the crew is Jamaican of ancestry, but none of them really were like prolonged contact with the ambassador. And it wasn't like they were having dinners together. It wasn't like they were, really just getting to know one another. It was pretty much the ambassador came aboard, went to his quarters, ordered room service, that sort of thing.
Any passengers?
Yes, and that's what I'm getting to next. The passengers that also disembarked on Osiris Station did include a Betazoid. And the Betazoid is known as, let me look at my notes, Eigil, Eigil.
Eigil.
And as you bring up Eigil's sort of database, or you look at the Federation database of citizens and such, you can confirm that Eigil is the waiter that delivered the drink.
Does Eigil have a criminal record?
He does not, no.
I'm going to tap my comm badge. Ensign Kiata Evans to Lieutenant Tolan. I believe I have a suspect for the current case. 1 Betazoid, Eigil.
All right. So you pass along that information. And then as that's going on, let's cut back to Talix and Astrape. So Talix, I imagine at this point you have been like grilling Astrape, like, who is this person? Who is he? Who is he? And Astrape just finally sighs and puts a glass down and says, look, Lieutenant, I don't employ Betazoids. I don't employ humans. I don't employ anybody who's not a Tenki, one of my species.
So we're not an equal opportunity employer.
Well, Astrape is not, but
Well, thank you, Astrape, for your helpful insight into our investigation here. I think the last thing I would like to do is perhaps check the security cameras that you have in the establishment so we can verify who was wandering around.
Certainly. I mean, take what you need.
And so Talix will go ahead and review the security footage to confirm that it was a human / Betazoid looking individual.
All right. So, Mr. Talix, if you can give me a insight security of your own, this is a difficulty of 3. Oh, wait a second.
Okay.
Does Evans have? Yes, Evans. I need you to roll me 1d20 because that could give momentum here.
Let me do it real quick. So I'm just gonna /roll 1d20.
Nope, I get threat. Thank you.
And I'm assuming I do not have a focus here.
Well, even if you did, your security is a 1, so.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Question for the DM, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned Tolan earlier. I'm trying to remember. Would Tolan be played by me or you?
Played by me until we need to have him be his own character, kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to prevent you having to talk to yourself, which is funny, but also very hard to follow.
I already do that on a daily basis if it makes you feel any better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, so Talix, that unfortunately is one success with a complication, which is not enough. Um, so I think unless you want a determination here, I think you just fail this roll.
Yeah, and I think I'll turn to Chief Yen and say, well, Chief, I think my investigation skills are better left in the biological realm. I suppose we should turn our hypotheses over to security so they can do some further investigation.
Well, I normally would agree with you, sir, but take a look at the access logs on that camera feed. As you probably can tell, they were erased during the period that we were in the bar with the ambassador. I mean, it's right there. Just look. And you look, and sure enough, she's pointing out certain algorithms and bits of data, and there's a big old chunk of data that's missing.
Chief, my appreciation for you continues to grow and grow every day, and as of yet, knows no bounds.
Well, you can take me on a date later, but we need to do something about that erasure. Astrape, did you? And Astrape's like, nope, I didn't touch him. Don't even bother me. I didn't do it. And the chief says, all right, well, I'm going to take that at face value because I've known you for years at this point. Let me see if I can figure out who did erase it then. And Chief Yen, if somebody wants to roll for Chief Yen, she is rolling a she's rolling a reason engineering, and her difficulty is 2. And remember, Chief Yen should be under the supporting characters.
rolling a what? Reason and daring?
Reason and engineering, yes.
Reason and engineering. Okay. 2 dice. Complication range 20. Is there a focus or anything here for her?
No focus, no.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, she gets the 2 she needs. Well, sir, you're not going to like this. I figured out who did it. According to the access logs, apparently the only person that had access to this log was Ensign Evans.
Gah?
Well, that adds an additional wrinkle to this particular investigation. I wonder, is there any possibility that that log access could have been forged?
I can look into it further, but to verify that, it's going to take me at least 30 minutes to an hour.
Chief, I do believe that it is important for you to use that time to engage in this endeavor. While the ensign is a bit new in their role, there's nothing that yet indicates to me that they would engage in such behavior. I think it'll be important for me to notify the commander, but I do want to make sure that if the ensign is innocent, that we are able to clear him.
All right, I'll get started right away. Astrape, can you get me a Ractigino? And Astrape rolls her eyes and just hands Yin an already replicated glass of Rectigino. Here you go. All right, thanks. And Yin is now predisposed for the next 30 minutes to an hour.
And Talix will want to make sure that he informs the commander of the situation, and so taps his comm badge. Lieutenant Talix to Commander Vakobe Ka.
Vakobe Ka speaking.
Commander, I wanted to give you an update on our investigation. As much as I would not want to acknowledge it, it does not appear that Astrape has any involvement in this situation, but also does not employ a human and/or Betazoid waiter. We went to look at the security footage and were unable to see it, and Chief Yen pointed out that that's because it looks like Ensign Evans deleted the logs. And I believe you'll agree with me that I have some skepticism that Ensign Evans would engage in such behavior, so I have Chief Yen looking into it. However, I wanted to make sure that you were aware, just in case both you and I have been unaware of the Ensign's work. that might be taking place outside the bounds of his role.
That is upsetting, Lieutenant, but I refuse to embrace the conclusion that the ensign has been working at cross purposes to us and the Starfleet. I will examine him personally and try to suss out exactly what his motives are, if he is innocent in this possible charge or accusation, and I'd also like to investigate whether or not his code or function could have been replicated by this provocateur or by other malign forces.
Indeed, sir, our thoughts are aligned. Lieutenant Talix out.
Out. And I think Vakobe Ka would, his kind of jaw would set, his kind of teeth would grind a little bit, and then he would turn and try to identify where Evans is. Is Evans still on ops?
Yeah, I would say Evans has just finished their conversation with Bob on the Weatherton.
Yeah.
I think the commander would have, he would go over to where Evans is stationed at ops, and then he would say, Ensign, may I have a moment to speak with you privately?
Of course, sir. I actually had some things to say as well.
Good. If you would please follow me to my ready room.
Aye, sir. I'm gonna get up from my station and follow him.
I would guide Evans in. I would make sure that the door is closed and then sealed, right? Like it can't be opened without my access code, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, Ensign, if you would please take a seat.
Aye, sir. And you can see Evans is visibly getting a little unsettled because he's noticing there's a certain edge to your voice. Is there something wrong, sir?
Yes, Ensign. There is something wrong. How did the human poets put it? I'll paraphrase. There may be something rotten in the state of Osiris Station.
Well, I gathered that, sir.
But do you understand precisely what I mean in that I believed previously that there was one provocateur, one saboteur, conspirator aboard the station, a betazoid that we were trying to identify and apprehend, but now I am concerned there may be more than one.
You do, sir?
Aye, Ensign, I do. Now, just know, before I begin presenting what I know, I am not eager to, nor do I desire to embrace a certain conclusion. Nonetheless, I have to bring this information to your attention and ask you to answer clearly and forcefully to the truth of it.
Aye, sir. Of course. That is my charge as an officer.
Good. We understand each other. So then the commander would go over to the kind of the wall where the little mounting unit is, the display case or cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And he would remove the Napoleonic era fencing saber that he has decorated there on the wall, and he would sort of keep it at his side and just sort of use it, kind of idly gesturing with it, not in a an overtly aggressive or threatening way, just to sort of like again set the tone of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sort of walking around his desk, kind of pacing, and he would say, Ensign, there has been a report that you or someone with your access to the file system has eliminated certain video recordings of the surveillance at Strape's bar. Do you have any answer for that?
No, sir. I don't. I've not accessed Estrape's personal information or any of the computer information since, I don't know, a couple of days ago, maybe?
Can you verify your location while this deletion of surveillance footage was going on? Can you account for all of your movements?
I would just need to know when it was, sir.
Vukobika would go over to his terminal and call up the specific time codes.
So I actually am going to spend 2 threat here. That Evans, during this time, you were supposedly in the restroom, is how I will put it.
It's a little embarrassing, sir. You remember that Rectagino that I was having?
I remember, yes.
Kind of ran through me. This is going to sound like a cop-out. I was using the restroom during this period of time, sir. I don't know if anybody saw me go in, so... But...
I see. Not the strongest alibi in the world, Ensign.
Aye, sir. I would be suspicious if I was you too.
The commander would then sort of move closer to the ensign's seat and then sort of, he would crouch down to sort of like meet ensign's eye level and sort of use the fencing saber as like a kind of like a cane support, right, to keep him sort of upright. And he would look the ensign directly in the eyes and say, "Now, ensign, it is vitally important that you do not lie to me, that you do not manipulate me, because your lies, your manipulations, could possibly lead to the injury and deaths of dozens, hundreds aboard this station, and the possible release of a virus or psychoactive agent into the general population, betraying everything that we stand for here in Starfleet. Now, I believe from the jump that while you may be capable of these things, you don't desire to do them.
No, sir.
Speak to me plainly and tell me, is there any reason why anyone would pose as you to possibly get revenge on you, to sully your good name, to ruin your position in Starfleet? Can you think of anyone who harbors you that kind of ill will?
I don't know, sir. Over the course of my career in Starfleet, I mean, I'm sure I've made an enemy or two, but nothing more than maybe the occasional Academy bully. I'd like to think that I'm liked, sir. He thinks for a moment, and you can tell that there's definitely something that he is struggling with right now, but he's not sure how to, word it. Sir, I understand that this situation is precarious, and this is why I bring this up. But before I do, I need to understand this virus, or whatever it is. I mean, it infected a Riemann. We can only assume that this has something to do with the Romulans or something of that nature. In the Academy, I met someone who quickly became my best friend. And his name was Tolan. You might be familiar with him. He's security on the station.
The name rings a bell.
Tolan has a complicated history with the Romulans, sir. I may believe that if there is any reason for anyone to target me, it might have to do something with my relation to Tolan. But that's the closest thing that I can think of. Otherwise, I really can't imagine why I was chosen, except for the fact that I would be a viable target. The station's operations officer deleting footage, I mean, I would have the power to do that. Realistically, I could delete anything on this station. Modify anything. I make a good scapegoat. But I would never, and I mean never, do anything to betray this uniform or this badge, sir. Starfleet is everything to me.
The commander would take that at face value. He would sort of solemnly nod. He would stand back up. He would tap once, twice, 3 times the fencing saber into the... What is the floor of this office? Carpeted? Not carpeted?
It's your
That's a good
office. You
question.
tell me.
See, I'm just imagining Picard's ready room, so like I'm not. It's not quite right. So, let's say it's a hard it's a hard material, right? Not wood, but something, you know, not linoleum.
I was gonna say, if you don't tell me something besides linoleum, it's gonna be linoleum.
Something a little classier than linoleum, let's say. And he'll tap it, you know, kind of making everyone uncomfortable in the space, and then he'll take a good deep breath in, and he'll move over and remount the fencing saber on the display case, and he'll turn and say, "I'm inclined, Ensign, to trust you, your passion, your spirit, your determination to live up to this uniform, and so I'm giving you the space to continue your duties. But I will be monitoring you. I will be using the station's security tools and equipment and personnel to observe your movements and your behaviors. And if I see something even remotely out of line from you, we'll have this conversation again in a much less friendly tone." Is that reasonable?
I understand, sir. Aye, sir. While I have you here, sir, I actually did want to speak to you about the case, sir. I believe I've identified our mutual friend.
I see. Go on.
I'm gonna reach, and he's been clutching this pad under his arm the entire time, and he kind of slowly, like, produces it and places it down, and it's a file on the Betazoid in question that he had discovered. No criminal record or anything, so I can't really figure out why they would be doing this, but this is definitely the Betazoid that we saw down in the bar. And they were a passenger on the Riemann Ambassador's vessel.
So you're telling me this Betazoid passenger disembarked with the Riemann Ambassador, followed him onto the station, acquired a server's uniform from Astrape's bar, and then used that opportunity to poison or otherwise affect him, rather than doing so on board the freighter?
I believe that this may have been deliberate, actually, sir. Think about it. A Riemann ambassador assaulting a Starfleet officer? If we hadn't been able to sniff out the fact that there was something already wrong with this, this could have been a diplomatic incident. Somebody is trying to stir up trouble. It wouldn't mean anything if a Riemann ambassador assaulted a couple of cargo freight runners, but me, or hell, even you. Especially you.
The optics of it certainly are troubling and advantageous to certain parties. That's a reasonable theory. I will take your information and I will keep it in mind as we continue our investigations.
I've already alerted security to keep an eye out for this Betazoid, so if they find anything, we'll be the first ones to know it.
Very good, Ensign. Now, walk softly, if you understand my meaning.
Aye, sir. I understand, sir. And, Commander,
Yes, Ensign.
thank you for, believing in me, sir.
He kind of like smiles wryly at that, and he says, "Well, Ensign, given what we've all gone through over the last a few days and weeks, I've softened a bit on my usual guiding principle of verifying, then trusting. I'm willing to go the other way around for select individuals. You've earned your place in that those hallowed halls."
Aye, sir.
Dismissed.
Thank you, sir. He nods, stands up, and lingers for like just one moment longer before turning on one heel and leaving the office / ready room.
All right.
And the commander, when he sees that that Ensign Evans has completely left his room, right?
Mm-hmm.
He will tap his comm badge and he will say, "Security, please
Yes, sir.
have a single individual with great tact and discretion follow and observe all of Ensign Evans' activities and movements aboard the station and report any anomalies to me until I give you the go-ahead otherwise."
Aye, sir.
And then he would sort of sigh wearily and sit back down at his desk.
And on that note, since I have a hard cutoff in 6 minutes, I think we have to make this a two-parter. So
Ooh.
yeah, this is definitely something where you guys have a week to figure out how to find Egil, determine, what is Egil's role in all this, to determine why Evans was targeted. There's a lot of moving parts here that you're gonna
This
have
is
to
heavy.
figure out. Yeah. But yeah, sounds like we all had fun, which is what's important. So Twitch, stick around because we're gonna raid somebody. But YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye bye, YouTube.